Hi, my name's Ian Roberts. I've been teaching painting workshops for about 25 years, and if there's one thing that I've noticed is that students have problems with composition. The design, the structure of what's going to be in the painting. About 10 years ago, I wrote a book called Mastering Composition, and that's now sold over 45,000 copies. That means a lot of people must have been aware of the fact that they're having design and composition problems. So when I say the number one skill to dramatically improve your painting, I'm talking about composition as a whole. But in this particular video, I want to take a look at one idea, and I think you'll find that it really helps you sort of understand this idea of what your picture plane is actually doing when you're painting. So whether you're doing plein air in oils, or figures in watercolor, or florals in pastel, I mean, you've got subject matter and you've got the medium. But it doesn't really matter in a sense, because underneath all of them is the structure and the dynamism of your composition. And that's common, regardless of subject matter and regardless of medium. So that's what I want to look at, because there is a dynamism on your picture plane with every mark you make. And that's going on whether you know it or not, or whether you like it or not. Now, the number one thing in composition really is the framing or the cropping of the world. I mean, you've got the whole wide world there, and you're choosing some little rectangle and isolating that and saying, that's what I'm going to paint. And I use a viewfinder like this. This one is made by viewcatcher.com. You can tell, I mean, I've used it when I'm out painting from the looks of it. And when you isolate something like that, you start to see the value masses, the structure, the drama of what you're looking at. Because you might say, well, why do you want drama? The thing is, you're seeing, let's say, 10,000 images a day. You're seeing them on the internet, you're seeing them in magazines, you're seeing them on television, and these people are paid a lot of money in order to be able to grab your attention. So you're competing with that in your painting. Your painting, it's like New York real estate. You sort of judge it by the square inch. So paintings, I guess, sold by the square inch, it's really important to make sure the whole thing is lively and engaging. So you have the rectangle, and then the major motion this way is the horizon, or a sense of stability, whether you can actually see the horizon or not, or whether you're looking down like this at a still life. You still know where the horizon is. Kind of gravity and our sense of balance establishes that. But the one that I want to look at today is what engages the top and the bottom of the picture plane. Because that then starts to engage the whole thing. So I'm going to show you 3 of my paintings. And in those 3 paintings, you'll see the image itself and then a diagram I've drawn of that vertical engagement, the horizontal and the vertical engagement. And in each one, you'll see I'm engaging the whole picture plane with that dynamism of left to right, top to bottom. Now you might say, oh, that's interesting. But Ian, does anybody else do that? So I'm going to show you 4 paintings by Sargent, Sorolla, and Zorn. In the first, we see a major commission by Sargent. In the second, we have a more intimate interior. The third is by Sorolla, and the fourth is by Zorn. And you can see all of them are interacting, both the left and the right and the top and the bottom. And you say, well, I mean, is that just coincidence? Or did I spend all week looking for 4 examples to prove my point? But just look at a lot of paintings and you'll realize that painters are doing what they can to integrate and engage the picture plane. I mean, it's not a rule. The whole of Western art is made up of conventions. Most rules can be broken and you can find exceptions. I'm just saying, as something to have in the back of your mind when you're structuring a composition, it's a really sound principle to pay attention to. Now here's the thing about composition though, in general. You need to figure this out before you begin to paint. You can't hope that when you start painting, somehow that'll appear. It's like when I'm on workshops, plein air painting workshops, it's like people, I mean, admittedly, they're probably beautiful places, but people are just like kids, 5-year-olds. They just want to get their brush into the color and on the canvas. And I understand it. I love that too. But you need to have a certain structure to paint to, because most paintings are ruined really before the brush even hits the canvas, because that pictorial logic has not really been thought through. So I'm going to show you 3 images, 3 photographs that I've taken that I'm going to do a little diagram with to show you this idea of vertical and horizontal engagement. Now the first thing is you'll look at these photographs and say, wow, there's a really strong vertical in that. But that's no accident. When I go out to take photographs or when I go to paint, I go and look for that vertical. It's kind of fundamental to my beginning to even consider it for a painting. So look in this first one. So I'm just going to draw this idea, and you see I've got little tick marks here. That's just to make sure that when we're done and I transition to the image itself, you know, one will lay on top of the other at about the same size. But the idea is, like, if we just sort of take a couple of these lines that are coming in here. What we're looking at is a beautiful vertical here, certainly a secondary one here. Horizontals here. The horizon would probably be up here. And then that little yellow, white boat with the orange on it coming in about here, you'll see that the idea is that you've got the vertical, the horizontal, and the center of interest comes in at the intersection of the two. It's not like we have a building over here and saying, oh, that's my center of interest because you've made it bright and I'm looking at it. This is structurally engaged to be the center of interest. This is a hill town in Provence. But again, I put the tick marks here so that when we put the photograph in afterward, the two will line up. But you see, I'm bringing the tree up into the top. That cypress is here. That line runs out the top there. I'm not even going to put the mountains in for now. Buildings are here, big tree. But you see right down in here, these beautiful shapes here, and that great dark that goes in here. That's where we're going to take people. And then there'll be this one that comes right out here. The horizon would sort of be like this. But the idea is you'd be taking people like that, pulling us from top, put the top in, from top to bottom. So this is a given, this is now established, and they bring us right to here in terms of where we have the center of interest. It actually lies pretty much on the horizon if you look at it, because the horizon would be right about there behind all that stuff. So I mean, there's a really structural reason for holding our attention there, as opposed just to have an object and something that we're painting around. And then there's a third image, and I just recommend you stop the video and try doing this yourself on this particular image. So these things are like diagrams. They're like road maps. They're not actually drawings or sketches. They're like a diagram of where you want the attention to go, and when you've got that to happen, when to stop. So you're not into the middle of a painting and finding some major compositional problem and then going in and working and reworking and working and reworking until you just get frustrated. So you can take a sketchbook out into some place and just do in a morning or a couple of hours, just try 4 or 5, half a dozen of these sort of diagrams, carefully looking for horizontals and verticals and their intersection and where the center of interest happens to fall within that. And just do that and start thinking about getting that happening in your paintings before you begin to paint. So I've made a free 2-part video course on mastering composition. How you can actually go in and start structuring your compositions before you begin to paint so that your painting will come together more easily and your success rate will soar. So if you click down below, you can fill in your email address and I will send you those 2 videos for free. So good luck with this idea. I hope you enjoyed it, and good luck, and bye for now.